This is going to be much more than a mountain bike ride through Kielder Forest for me. This is going to be a ride through time itself. You may have seen a video I did where I discovered my very first mountain bike from 1985.
Blast from the past.
My God, that's it?
Take your bike. Mice have eaten the seat.
Wow. Well, that bike put a thought in my mind, and it was this: why not use my new bike to ride one of the trails we used to love doing back then on those bikes and see what has changed around here. Obviously, a lot will have changed in 35 years, but the route I have in mind is up by the Scottish border. The Bloodybush, and it was a morass of mud and... Kielder is, of course, a timber factory, but they've done a good job of planting the broadleaf trees around the margins where most people choose to visit, and that makes it far more attractive. Although now we're heading into more of the commercial forest. Well, look at this. This is new. This is a trail map, and it turns out this one is called the Lonesome Pine, would you believe? But just over here, this is a little bit worrying. There's a warning about where I can and cannot ride because there's active harvesting there. So not only have I got to try and find my old trail, I've got to adapt it to fit around the harvesting. This is going to be an interesting day. This is a bit skiddy. It's not just the signs. A single track like this is completely new. When I rode here, it was all just wide forest roads because that was all we knew our bikes could handle. Put into the forest for timber extraction and for work. A single track like this is amazing and new. That was the camera taking a fall, not me. Just a little touch I noticed on this bridge, and look at the way they've cambered that corner so it fits with the curve of the trail. That's good trail building. Don't know if you can see that junction down there in the valley, but that looks a bit familiar. I wouldn't be at all surprised if that was the road I used to take when I was going up to the Bloodybush. We've got a little time while I'm on this fire road, so I'm going to tell you something about Kielder that I'm going to guess you probably don't know or couldn't find out elsewhere. The man who created the famous Metro Centre, said to be Europe's first big out-of-town shopping centre, was Sir John Hall. John Hall, when I knew him. And one of the things he wanted to do, he ran past me and a few other people, and that was to put a giant outdoor artificial ski slope here. And so he asked folk what they thought about this idea, and everyone who he asked said the same thing: midges. It said that they send the psychopathic ones from Skye down to Kielder. And back then, when people tried to book the campsite for a week, the campsite would say, yeah, we'll book you in for 3 days. And say, no, on a week. He said, no, we'll book you for 3 days. Because that's how long most people stayed before the midges got too much for them. And consequently, that huge outdoor artificial ski slope never happened because of the little beasties. This section of trail is Stairway to Heaven. Yep, they have names. And it's amazing to find this and more solid boardwalk high above Kielder Forest. When it comes to this riding, I was born a few decades too early. I'm right on the border here. You can see on the Garmin it says that's Scotland. Just push a bit further forward. Now changed. England. Truth is, I'm a bit knackered now. Partly that's down to, I suppose, Anno Domini, 35 years since I rode here. But also I completely underestimated the quality and challenge of the trails that now are around Kielder. These single tracks are brilliant, but I think I'm chancing my arm by using a gravel bike. Throughout this video you've heard me talking about the Bloodybush, and I don't know what you were expecting to be the objective of this ride. I don't know, a bush dripping in gore. Obviously that's not the case, but it is in fact this. It stands like an obelisk from 2001: A Space Odyssey, a monument from the past which looks the same today as it did when I first saw it on my first ride here. 15 foot high, built in 1828 on a private coal road. It details the tolls cattle and sheep drovers would pay to cross between Roxburghshire and Northumberland. So there's a price there for 3 cattle, price for 3 sheep calves and swine. The area is called Bloodybush because of the battles here between border raiders and their Scots pursuers. Well, this turned out to be much harder than I thought it was going to be, but also an awful lot more fun than it used to be. The trails here are so good. In fact, I could keep on going and head over to Newcastleton on the cross-border trail and make a couple of days of it. But no, I'm going to head back to the van down the way that I know. If you've enjoyed this, I hope you'll give me a thumbs up, perhaps subscribe, and we'll see you again next time.